Sabia ma'am, you can start.
A very good evening to everyone. I welcome our speaker and all our participants for this wonderful webinar. This webinar is presented by Golden Sparrow Hub School, an institution by Hub Schoolers for Hub Schoolers. Well, it is our third glorious year for us where we have 100% results for our grade 10, top scores in board itself. We are proud of our students and appreciate their hard work and dedication. Congratulations to our students and to their parents too. Today, we all are gathered here for a powerful webinar by our great speaker, Miss June Mendez. She is one of the founder member of Section, the first national body for homeschoolers in India. She has successfully homeschooled her three children till they reach their college. She wears multiple hats, including that of an author named Leaving Sarah, and she is a Cambridge University certified teacher. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Golden Sparrow Hub, for inviting me to speak. Thank you, Dawood. And uh, I'm just going to share our journey with you, what we did over the years of homeschooling, and hopefully, it will give you some insights into how you can take your journey forward or give you some inputs about how we did what we did. So, we started homeschooling in 2010. Okay, when the children were going to school, we didn't start homeschooling before that. Actually, my husband had already wanted to homeschool my daughter when she was in senior KG, when she first went to school, actually, in junior KG. The second day of school, he brought her out of the school and he said, "No, I'm not going to send her to school anymore. We'll educate her at home." And at that point, I think I was quite blank. I didn't know anything about homeschooling. And I was immediately said, no, 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 this will not do. And the kids will go to school. But as the years progressed, as the children went to higher classes, we realized that things were not working out as I had hoped they would. I wasn't too happy with what was happening in school. It's not that they were not doing well in school. They were top of their class. They were doing well in extracurricular activities. They were winning a lot of prizes in school. But what they were losing out was more than what they were really gaining. Okay, so I just share a small my screen with you. So, oops. Second. So I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So these are some of the pointers, the reasons, why I decided that it would be time to homeschool them. At that point, I was also teaching. I was teaching in the Cathedral School in Lonavala. I was also visiting faculty at the Samudra Institute. I was also training teachers. But then I realized that my children needed my inputs more than other people. So I'm sure many of you have also, taken the decision based on some of these points. Okay, there was like they were in just my youngest was in the second grade and would come home and be doing homework and sitting till odd hours. My eldest was in the sixth grade. She enjoyed painting and she enjoyed reading and she enjoyed music, but then she didn't have time for all these extra activities that she wanted to pursue further because obviously you had to do homework, you had to be in time, go to bed in time, be up in time, go to school. So I finally decided that it was time to take them out. And I think one of the early challenges was basically deschooling myself because, like I said, I was a teacher. So obviously, as a teacher, you think that you have all these timetables and you have this whole package in your head that you want to share with people, with your kids. And then what are you doing in the end? You're just running a parallel school. So the purpose of homeschooling is basically to, have no actual great structure in place. but to give as many inputs to your children as possible. So initially, like I said, I had this whole timetable. I had planned that this is what we're going to do, that is what we're going to do. And then my husband told me, you're just running a parallel school. So that's when, one second. So that's when basically, I had to stop. And then we had to basically just take a breather, do nothing for the first 6 months or so. So that, you just understood that this is no longer school, this is home, and you're going to add things to that environment to help your children grow. The second early challenge was basically finding the right resources. When I talk about the right resources, I'm not talking about the academics part, because you have a lot of resources on the internet. It was finding resources for the extracurricular activities, because we live in Lonavala, a small town, and there's nothing for the kids here. So there's no, like, my daughter started playing tennis, she had to travel to Pune every day. So, then we were lucky that we found a music teacher. Today, I don't think there's anyone who's teaching Western music in Lonavala. So again, that was a challenge. To find the right resources was a challenge. Okay, then as we progressed, I told you we took 6 months off, didn't do much for the first 6 months. And then we kind of formed a pattern. So we followed different ways. We had homeschooling, which I think all of you must be knowing. Homeschooling is basically following a curriculum, having timetables, and doing rigorous learning at home. But then we had a mix of homeschooling, unschooling, sitting back and doing nothing, and road schooling, basically traveling and learning from what you see. Okay, so again, let me just share my screen once more. So these are basically some of the ways that we learned. Okay, we homeschooled, we unschooled, we traveled, we watched a lot of documentaries as the children were growing up. So they were exposed to different things. It was just geography was done, places we explored, history we watched documentaries. So we didn't really pick up books, because children, and when they are younger, they like to watch things. They are more visual learners and kinesthetic learners than basically reading and audio. Then we did a lot of kitchen experiments. We had a book which you could do experiments at home. We traveled, we looked at places. And then one of the things that I made the children do was, we would give them topics, and then they would do the research themselves, make PPTs, and teach us. So that way, they also learned and we also learned. And then I would give them inputs. Also, it was very important that they played, they went out, they cycled, they trekked, and they traveled to Pune, to different places alone. That's what I mean by independent travel. So these are just a little snippets from our homeschooling journey. So it was important that they were in the kitchen, they learned to cook, they learned to clean their space, and they learned everything basically hands on. See, another thing about, many people talk about homeschooling, they are worried about the how do children socialize. That's one of the biggest queries everybody asks. So you have to put them for different you know games where they mix with other children. So our children did that. They went for some camps. Sometimes they played sports. So all three of them initially were playing tennis. So they were traveling from Lonavala to Pune every day to play tennis. They met other kids there. They traveled independently. So I didn't go with them and sit with them. So they could mix with other people. They also did yoga every morning. So they met adults in the yoga class. They mixed with people there. Then they learned musical instruments. So all three of my children are musicians also. So all of them play two instruments at least. My daughters play the piano and guitar. My son plays the piano, the guitar, the drums, the clarinet, and all of them sing. So they were actively involved in music in the church. So that also helped them to socialize even more. They would, play as part of the church choir, joined the church group. As the older two grew older, they joined the local Rotaract, which is the youth uh, arm of the Rotary Club. So they joined the Rotaract Club, And the Rotaract had various, outreach programs and things like that children were part of. So one of the programs was painting the Lonavala railway station, which the kids also actively participated in. Whereas the younger one, she was there is an age difference between them, right? She was the elder two were just a year apart in school, so they were a little older than her. So the younger one, she would initially complain that they've got all their friends and I don't have anyone, because she came out in the second standard. So then I introduced her to the world of pen pals. So she started making friends from all over the world, and she loved writing to them. And even today they write to each other, and they decided that they're not going to email, they're going to do snail mail. So they actually wrote letters to each other. So that helped build up the writing skills naturally. All three of my kids were very avid readers. I made them get used to reading books, because like I told Christina, I didn't give them any devices. None of them got a smartphone till they went to college, when it was absolutely necessary. We watched TV basically twice a week. Maybe on a Saturday we all watched a family movie together, or a Sunday. They never watched TV during the week. So, because they were so busy doing everything else. So, obviously, when you don't have screens, then you will look at books, right? You start reading. So, all three of them had a book wherever they go. Even now, today, also, they still read. So, let me just again share. I'll keep sharing and not sharing. Okay, so these are some of the ways in which they socialized. Yeah, they learned to do the grocery shopping. Whenever I went vegetable shopping or anywhere, they were with me. So I would send one to one of the shops. They would go there, buy the things. So they learn to interact with people in a social setting naturally. So I organized some summer camps for small kids, and my kids would conduct it. So they would conduct treks, and I would just help them, be along with them. So this is one of the pictures of them painting the railway station in Lonavala as part of the road tract. So we provided avenues, where they could interact with people, and they could socialize as well as hone their own skills naturally. Okay, then there were certain values that we felt that were important for them. One was the life skills, that first thing, you get up, make your own bed, clean your own room. Okay, when I was in the kitchen, I would call them to help me. They would help to chop, to sometimes cook. When they grew older, making evening tea was just given to them. They had no say in the matter, so they had in rotation. So one day it was my daughter, the next day my son, and the next day the youngest one, who would make tea for the entire family in the evening. So these are the things we just did naturally with them. Okay, then also taught them to respect people. That's very important, and have empathy for others. And also very important was the environment, that you have a bit of civic sense. You can't complain about anyone if you are going to throw wrappers out of the window yourself. So these are some of the small values that we inculcated as they grew up. Okay, we didn't have really a big time. Like I told you, we did away with actual timetables, but we did have a structure to our day. It was not that we didn't have a structure. So initially they would go for yoga every morning. They were All three of them would do yoga, go to the yoga institute. And then we would have a very broad based timetable. So it was more like a weekly timetable. So this week we would focus on maybe math and English. The next week we would focus on science and geography, or something like that. So there was no like one subject every day. So within those lessons, it was all hands on learning. It was not so much about books. Like I was telling Christina, my youngest was like mostly unschooled, because she was totally into the tennis. So she was traveling to Pune every day. So half a day was gone playing tennis. She would come back and maybe, look at a book for some time. But she actually looked at academics when she was in the eighth grade, because then had to start preparing for exams. So all three of the kids did the NIS. All of them went from the 10th to the 12th. They followed the NIS curriculum. And after that, they all very smoothly went into college. My elder two today have finished college. They both topped college. Both of them finished college as gold medalists. So my daughter decided to join the entertainment industry. She's a production designer, so she basically designs sets, because she was always creative, always wanting to paint. and always interested in movies, not just watching movies, looking at how movies were made, who was the director, who was the producer, so those things were there from small. So she just now followed that natural process. Today she's working in the entertainment industry, done quite a few projects, worked with some big names also. And work is hard, but I think all the the rigorous training over the years of being at home has helped her. My son also graduated as a gold medalist from the Jindal Global University, and he studied international relations. And he later he wanted to pursue a different stream altogether. So he's gone into studying peace and conflict. So he's doing his masters in Austria, and he's almost done with his masters now. My youngest, she wanted to make a career in sports, so she was playing tennis, and then the pandemic came. And once the pandemic came, things changed, right? We had to rethink because she couldn't travel to Pune every day to practice. There was no tennis court in Lonavala. We tried so many things and we just couldn't find it. So then she had to rethink her whole way forward. And so then we kind of zeroed in on it, spoke to her, and then she realized that, one of the things that, just a second, what would benefit her was doing like looking at her strength. So her strength has always been sports, right, from the time she's small. So with now she has decided that she wants to pursue a career in sports management. So at the moment she's in college, she's part of the college team, she's in the tennis team, she's in the athletic team, has won gold medals for the college at sporting events. So all three of them have taken very very diverse paths, even though they were all with me throughout. So none of them have followed the regular path. All have taken, and that's what they tell me, that if we were in school, we would have just been maybe architect, engineer, or going into medicine. But being at home, being exposed to so much diversity has opened our minds. Like when my son was in the 10th grade, we gave him the option that after the 10th, do you want to go back into regular school? And he said no. Same thing with my eldest. So they did their entire till the 12th at home. After his 10th, my husband took my son and he went on a road trip, going down the periphery of India for 21, 25 days. They were on the road, sleeping in the car, sleeping on the tent, and they met a lot of people along the way. So that, I think, broadened his perspective. Once he came back, he was like, I don't want to go into a regular, I want to look for something which is travel. So I said, we can all say that I want to travel and see the world, but we need money to travel, right? We just can't. Everybody wants to travel. So where do you get the money? And he wanted, I want some prestige also. Okay, so you want prestige and you want travel. So I told him, okay, join the merchant navy. He's like, no, I don't want to be looking at the sea for 6 months and on end and not doing anything. I want to engage my mind. Before that, also my son was very interested in cooking. I think it was the age of master chef. So he was a little master chef. He's still a very good cook. So he was making all these pastries and cakes and everything, and he was like, okay, I want to become a chef. So what my husband suggested to him was, okay, let's do a hands-on, learning experience. So we went and requested the church, can we have a little stall that, he wants to run. So the church allowed us. Every Sunday he would prepare breakfast. So it was not just sandwiches. He would, prepare proper, elaborate breakfasts, like cooking things from the Goan culture and a Mangalorean dishes, and serve those things to his customers. And it became big hit. People would take packaged things at home. So we didn't help him at all with that. He would My husband gave him a capital, that okay, this is the amount you'll need to start, obviously, and then cooking is yours. Your sisters, you can enlist their help. So he would, every dish we sold, I'll give you 2 rupees. So that's how they learned, those business skills. But after 3 months, then he decided that he didn't want to basically pursue cooking anymore. He felt that it could always be a hobby and he could do something more with it. Even the girls also have been very, all of them, we are basically like a musical family. We sing together, play together, jam together. So they also were thinking of music at one point, but then they realized that today, with everything being pirated and things being downloaded at the click of a mouse, you're not going to be very profitable in music. So we did go through a lot of processes before they finally zeroed in on what they wanted to do. So it's not like, we just came up with and pulled a rabbit out of a hat and said, okay, this is what you're going to do. But see, what I feel the most important thing that we gained from our homeschooling journey was being, communicating with each other, talking about everything. Okay, it was important for us, no television. Like even my mother-in-law, poor thing, used to enjoy watching her serials while she had her dinner. I said, no, you will sit with us at the table and we'll talk. You watch it after dinner. So there was no screen while we sat and we communicated. So that is very important, that you talk to your children. See, and like when I said, when you talk about empathy, you also make them understand, that maybe sometimes we are privileged, there are others who are less fortunate than us. You have to make them feel those things. So what my husband made them do also was, like we had these people coming home to work, the daily wage laborer, who's getting 400, 500 rupees a day. So he told them that I'm giving you 400 rupees a day, and you need to plan the entire, like once a week, three of you will take that responsibility to, plan the entire meal and everything for that one day with this limited amount, and see how you can do it. And they were able to do it, and you do it well. So you didn't just starve on those days, but it gave them an insight. And that's what we did: communicated, gave them insights into different things, put values into them. Everything else, academics, will just fall into place when they have the right values. So we did, when they were, in the higher classes, then there was a lot of focus on studying. That's when I feel that the actual learning stopped, because it was NIOS and you had to, finish that curriculum, and then you had to sit for that exam, because obviously compulsory if you want to educate yourself further in India. But that's when the actual real learning stopped, because it became again back to textbook learning, because you had to sit for the exam. But after that, because they have, had all these inputs throughout, when they went to college, it became so easy for them. None of us told them, oh, that you have to go to college and excel, but we just did tell them that when you go to college, do the best that you can. You've gone there to learn, so take the maximum out of that learning space. And both of them did it. Both of them came out as gold medalists. So the youngest one always says, I've got a tough act to follow. So we say that, you're getting gold medals in your sport, so it's fine with us. You don't have to do. So this is basically our journey. Okay, so if any questions, anything, now I think I've summed up whatever we've done. I can keep talking, so I just cut myself off.
I think few parents had raised their hands while you were talking.
I think there was some
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Gomati Balakrishnan had raised their hand, and then Asma. Yeah. Parents, would you like to ask anything?
Yeah, if Gomati is not here, can I be the first one to ask?
Yes, yes, yes.
It's really an honor to be able to hear you here, ma'am. I'm so happy to see you because in my community, I'm in Kashmir right now in India, and I am one of the first few parents who are actually thinking about homeschooling. So it's a very scary situation for me because people are like nobody's homeschooling here. So where did this even come from, and why would and how will you even be able to do it? So I have two questions. One is one is about consistency. Since we are schooled in our brains, there is the school is inside our brains. Basically, we have to unschool from there first. So I have an issue in consistency. So how will I be consistent in making my child learn through and throughout, and how will I be able to track if I'm going the right way? That's my first question. And my second is, Kashmir is a small town. As I say, we live in a pahadi ilaka, so it's a pahad, and it's not a metropolitan, it's not advanced like the rest of India. Like in Bangalore and Kerala, when I joined the homeschooling groups, I get so overwhelmed. I'm like, there's nothing is here, aisa kuch bhi nahi hai yahan pe. So, and the other parents tell me, like, how will you be even able to do the extracurriculars and everything, because there's nothing like that here. So if you could motivate me or give me some tips, being in a small town, being in a pahadi ilaka, how will I be able to use that to my advantage once I start homeschooling? My son is 6, and this year I will remove him from school probably, and we'll be starting homeschooling once I've done my research, because this year I have put my whole brains into research.
Of younger children is, forget academics. Like I have an example of a child who look at books till she went to the 8th grade. Obviously, I taught her to read. We taught her the basic math skills, but she didn't really look at curriculum or anything till she went to the 8th grade. I would advise parents till maybe from the 6th grade you could look at a curriculum. Don't compare your child with anyone. Your journey is your own. Because what happens, you start to get overwhelmed. Oh, uske bacche, unko itna sara, syllabus they've covered, and my daughter is just learning how to read. That's fine. Nobody is in a competition. Nobody's going to see whether your first grader or second grader knows how to read and write, unless you're going to put them back in that school system and everybody's going to say, oh, she's so horrible. It's your own journey. Yes, when they are, reach middle school, like 6th grade, 7th grade, then yes, guide them accordingly. But at the same time, don't just, have total flexibility and no structure. Then you don't expect the child to suddenly get up and say, okay, now you have to study. If you've never done it for so many years. Yes, 1 hour, 2 hours at the most during your day you could dedicate to learning. When I say learning, I'm not talking about textbooks. I'm talking about showing them things around, hands on learning, looking at places, looking at things like, as Asma, you are living in a town, it becomes more advantageous for my kids also. We live in Lonavala, which is also a small town where we don't have any access to anything. So but we managed. And the thing is that you can explore the outdoors, right? You can go out with your kids, show them things. Okay, like when in school they teach you, okay, parts of a plant, but do they really show you the plants? Very rarely. If you're living here and you're living in a place where there are a lot of trees, you can show them trees firsthand. There are different types of trees. So your learning for smaller kids should always be hands on, not textbooks, not following any curriculum. Just teach them how to read, teach them how to communicate, teach them how to enjoy learning. That's important. Because like I said, when my kids went to 11th and 12th, they did it independently. I didn't have to give them any inputs. They didn't go for classes. They did everything on their own. So my youngest one, in fact, when she was giving her 10th grade, like, two subjects, I said, okay, come on, let me help you with it. Maybe I think you're struggling with these two. And when the results came out, she said, see, the ones you helped me and I got less marks. The ones I did on my own, I got more marks. Because that's what you need to teach them to do, to be independent learners. You show them something, tell them to research it themselves. Today there, and be there, so that you are also helping them. It's not you say, okay, I'm giving you, a topic, and you just go and find it out for yourself. It's not possible without guidance first. As they're older, yes, they're able to do it. But when younger kids, you give them a topic and say, let's, okay, look at it together, let's do the research together. And you see, for younger kids, there's so much opportunity. And as in a small town today, you're lucky also, there is, online classes. You can teach them music, or you have music teachers online. Okay, maybe sports, I don't know how much but sports, they can cycle, they can run anywhere. You don't have to, have to go to an academy for that. And especially when you're living in a small town, you trek, you climb trees, you do whatever, the outdoors. That's enough sport. So basically, that is to answer your question. If any other, I hope I've answered it. Or
Yes,
if there's
thank you
any
so much,
other
ma'am.
doubt.
I feel so inspired and encouraged after this. A lot of worries from my shoulders has, lifted.
Okay, good. And there is another person who is also homeschooling in Kashmir, who did get in touch with me, who shifted from Delhi back to Kashmir. I think he's a photographer, and he had asked me initially about homeschooling his little kids also.
Okay, I
So,
hope I'm able to get in touch with him. I have no idea about him.
yeah,
I'm
his name
hunting. I'm
is Yasir, I
hunting.
think. Yasir.
Okay,
So,
Yasir. Okay, I'll
yeah.
try to find out. I'm hunting people currently because I want to form a community here.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. I think there are two hands raised. Gomati.
Any parent who would like to ask any question?
Okay, so there are some hands raised still.
Yeah.
Sabia, would you like to ask your question? I can see your hand is raised.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, just wanted to ask, ma'am, like whenever we decide something that is different from the normal route, generally it's a society that would term you as you're very fussy, or you're very difficult to manage. So, ma'am, what kept you on your belief that yes, you will be able to survive while homeschooling your kids? What was that faith, ma'am?
See, as a mother, as a parent, mother, father, you want the best for your child, right? You're not going to mess up their future. And so that is going to make you search for more avenues where you want to teach them, what you want to teach them. And you have to just shut your ears to what society says, because nobody wants someone who's different, right? And when it comes to family, some people do have problems, like, with joint families, that especially the elders in the family, they say, what are you doing? You're messing up your kid. Involve them. Tell them, like, I want to teach my kid something that you think that they would know, like, and ask them to help the child learn that, so they also get involved in the child's learning process, and then they slowly breaks down the barriers. Because there's a famous saying which says it takes a village to raise a child. So if you get your village within your own community, why not? It becomes so much easier. So I think, and for us, actually, we were lucky. We didn't have any people opposing. In fact, I had people asking me, "Can you homeschool my children?" I said, "No, homeschooling is, between the parent and the child. That's why it's homeschooling. You homeschool your own child. I homeschool my own child. That's what homeschooling is." So that way, we didn't have any opposition from anyone in the community. In fact, I think later, as the children were growing up, they were always used as examples of, see, they don't go to school, but see what they do. See, they've involved in so many activities. So that way,
Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome. Anyone else for a question?
So, June, ma'am, I think I missed most of the driving, but I think that's some part of unschooling. I only want to know what's the nastiest comment you received when you were deciding to homeschool your kids? It might be encouragement for parents like us.
No, I didn't hear your question clearly.
He's asking the
I hope
nastiest
I'm.
comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, there are so many suggestions from relatives, friends. We are doing the wrong choice. हमारे बच्चों का career खराब कर रहे हैं. So I would love to hear. You've got three, so you've got at least 3 into 10, 30 comments like that, June, ma'am.
No, that's what I said. We were lucky we didn't encounter any of those issues.
Okay, so only compliment and maybe it's just personality that people are afraid to tell you.
I'm not getting. Krishna, can you just
I'm
type this
sorry.
question maybe in the chat?
No, no, no. What he meant is that
Let's
it's a good thing that you just got compliments, like not any negative comments. That's what he meant.
I think
if
there's
you
too much
can hear me,
background
pick up.
noise.
Yeah,
There's too much
I'll type
background.
these statements and I'll
If
watch
you can type
them.
a question in the chat, also is fine. I can, answer
Yeah, yes,
whatever any questions are there. If you can
yes.
put it in the chat.
Okay, parents, we would be closing soon. So, any questions, any queries to June ma'am?
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, sure,
Yes,
Asma.
sir, yes.
Ma'am, did you at any point use any kind of tutors or outside help for your kids?
See, we use a lot of online learning. Like I said, I think all of you must be familiar with Khan Academy today. But then you have a lot of worksheets for younger children also available online. So we use a lot of online learning resources. So I didn't really have a tutor as such for the kids. It's only my son, when he was doing the 10th, since he had studied Hindi in school, he said, I want to give Hindi as a subject. So I said, okay, fine, but I can't teach you. So for that subject, I found a tutor. So he was going to a teacher for Hindi, because he just felt like he wanted to give Hindi as a second language. But none of the girls took a second language, so that part of it was not. But when they went to the 12th, see, there are a lot of online resources for the kids. My kids were a little older when they started homeschooling, so there are a lot of worksheets, online resources for younger kids that you can find. One is a very good one is Time for Learning. It's a very good online resource that you will find for younger children, a lot of worksheets and things like that. So other than that, a lot of YouTube videos. But when they went to the 12th standard, my elder two had taken chemistry as a subject. So it was difficult for me to teach them organic chemistry. So they took the help of one of their friends for that. But otherwise, they never had any tutors. They did everything at home. Just see, when you talk about rigor, it's I don't think it depends on what you're looking at. When you're looking at are you looking at those 90% and 80% marks, then yes, your child has to maybe put in a lot more efforts. But we were just looking at giving that exam and letting them get a decent enough grade so that they can pursue their further studies. So there was no rigor as such. Like my eldest, when she gave the NIS 10th, she decided to do it in 3 months. So she suddenly said, okay, I'll give it, it was, I think, December. And she said, I'm going to give the exam in April. So then it was like we just basically just read through the entire curriculum once and then she went and gave the exam. So we didn't have any time for revision or anything. We were still like, just finishing the curriculum as such. So, okay, she scored a 70%, but that was good enough for us. We were not looking at those big marks and she just wanted to finish and get over with that exam. But like when my son was finished his 12th, there was a small mess up with the chemistry results that year of the NIS. So he scored only some 5 or something in chemistry. And we knew that, okay, if he was not that great at chemistry, that he would just be, scraping through, but he was not going to fail. So luckily, like NOS has that on-demand option, right? So we were immediately able to sign up, and he had already got admission into college. So we sent a mail to the college saying that he's got this backlog in chemistry, and they were quite okay. They said he can join college. He just needs to clear it before October. So he had done the on-demand, immediately sat for the chemistry paper again, and he got his result much before October. So he didn't have any issue. So we did have some hiccups along the way. It's not that we did not have. Like my eldest daughter, she had taken math in grade 12 when it was extremely difficult, and obviously she failed, she didn't pass, and then she decided that she wants to switch to chemistry. So again, she finished the chemistry syllabus in a very short time and she cleared the chemistry. So there are hiccups, but if you are not looking for those big and you don't want to keep pushing them, you'll just overcome it naturally. Okay.
Hi, ma'am.
Mohammed.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's this that I just wanted to ask. I have this doubt which people usually put in my head. I've been homeschooling my son. It's that is the how is the transition like for a homeschool child when he joins college? Is it difficult for them to
Oh, it's
adjust, or it?
excellent. My kids, they love college. They have no
Okay.
issues with college. So that's what, like, my daughter, youngest one, who's just gone to college now. So everybody says, like, how are you enjoying college so much? How do you love? She said, because I came to college to learn and to enjoy, to take maximum from it. So none of them had any problems going to college. It was a very smooth transition.
Okay, so for them, all these like adjusting in a classroom and all of that was not a barrier.
Nothing, nothing. They didn't have any problem with that at all.
Is that you did something regarding that, or it was just naturally
Just natural.
flowing?
There was nothing. They finished homeschooling, they went to college. They sat for the entrance exams, they got into college, they went to college, and they just, I think because they were already socializing with people. It's not that I kept
Okay.
them isolated at home. They were already socializing with people. They were already, going for playing games. They were socializing, mixing with kids in the church, playing with the youth. I told you they joined the road track. So they were already interacting with people. So it wasn't difficult for them that way.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, you're welcome. I don't think there was any big challenges. Okay, Priya just asked a question. What was the biggest challenge you faced during homeschooling?
Good evening, ma'am. Shall I know from which place you belong to? Which place?
I'm
Basically,
in Lonavala, which is between Bombay and Pune.
ma'am, you are from which place, ma'am?
I
Shall I
said
know?
I live in Lonavala, which is between Bombay and Pune.
Okay, Mumbai. So, as a parent, as an educated parent or resource person, or what kind of person you are basically? Shall I know that? Are you working in any international school, or as an resource person, or an educator, or a mentor? What kind of personality you are? Just I wanted to know.
I used to be a teacher, I used to train teachers. I was teaching in an international school also. I was teaching 10th, 11th, 12th grade kids. I was teaching English to Marine Merchant Navy cadets also. But when I decided to homeschool the kids, then I stopped. I quit everything. And I was totally at home with them. Now that the children are out, I tutor online. Tutor kids all over the world, basically.
You are
Used
okay. You are an online tutor right now.
Yes, today I am an online tutor because
No,
now
I
my
just
kids are out, and
yeah.
I'm also a writer.
Parents are many of them are upgraded and in their own way. So I just wanted to know, are you a resource person or mentor or any you are doing some research or anything like that? Are an home tutor or are you are working in a
I'm
school?
also a writer, so I also write for different websites. I published my novel, but at the moment I'm a tutor and a writer.
Good to know about you, ma'am. Good
Thank
to
you,
know about you. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Hmm? Hmm? Um,
Ma'am, I have another question.
Yeah, sure.
You have mentioned that you never expose them to too much screen. I was
Yes,
twice weekly for you, the TV, right? But
yes.
considering the age that we are in, there's so much screen exposure that it is so difficult to avoid. What would you suggest?
See, the
Or
thing is
how
that
should I, how should I discipline him in this regard? I give him 2 hours a day, which is very monitored in terms of developing his language skills. But still, I feel if there is something else that I can do, for him in this regard, decreasing the screen exposure actually is what I meant. So, what would you suggest?
See, today, like as you say, that there's so much screen exposure, it becomes a little difficult to restrict. So, yes, giving him an hour on screen is fine. I feel that more than
Yes.
an hour is not really necessary. And but engage them in other activities. Like I said, my children were engaged in so many activities, they didn't have time for the
Okay.
screen, right? They were
Yes.
playing music. Uh, we would sit together in the evenings and sing, and they would play their instruments. And even though they were playing cracked and we were singing cracked, but we sang together. We played board games together. They in the
Okay.
evening they would be out cycling, so they would be out of the house. It was very important that they had to be out of the house. Outdoors was a very big thing for us. So keep them engaged in many activities so that they don't have time for screen.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's a useful
Okay.
insight.
Okay, can we take a last question and then we can end?
It doesn't look like anyone
Yeah, I think
has
you answered
questions.
all of them. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we can end the session, June ma'am. Sabia ma'am, over to you.
As every good thing come to an end, so as today we have come to an end to today's session. I thank our speaker for today, Ms. June Mendez. Thank you, madam, for being with us and sharing your wonderful thoughts on homeschooling. I thank all our participants who have joined us today. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, June ma'am.
Thank you, Sabia, for conducting this. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Good
so
to
much.
see you all. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, same here, ma'am.
Thank you to that, ma'am.
Hi. Hi.
Thank you for providing the resources in this homeschools community. Thank you, dears. Thank you all.
Yeah, yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
I think we all can. Welcome. Bye. Thanks for attending.
You say you tell. Yeah, we will follow the things. It's
Okay.
these are our extra
What's
guidances
your
to the
name?
kids.
What's your name?
Just stand.
Hi, Diveshri. And what is your
They are
brother's name?
also studying in. They are also studying and right now studying in a CBSE school. Might be adapted some recent education policies and all may be useful for them. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for
yeah.